Trump campaigned on build that wall. Are you willing to tear that wall down?
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration.
The Biden administration wants Customs and Border Protection to fill in 4 gaps of the border wall in Arizona. Homeland Security says those gaps are close to the Colorado River, where it's become dangerous for immigrants trying to cross and Border Patrol trying to apprehend them.
We know there are more than 500,000 gotaways who came into our country just since October. Is it right, is it legit to call this an invasion?
Well, Stuart, I think it's certainly getting to that point, and I think it's important to put that in context. Not only do we have historic illegal apprehension numbers every single month, and every single month it gets worse and worse and worse, but you also have an administration that is simply not putting in place the policies and the procedures to get that under control.
I'm going to make sure that we have border protection, but it's going to be based on making sure that we use high-tech capacity to deal with it.
So when you look at it in total, and you see 210, 220, 200,000, 230,000 individuals coming across that border, and the federal government is not doing anything about it. I think states like Texas and Arizona and others are seeing that type of invasion. Those numbers coming across the border every day, they're throwing their hands up and they say, why won't the federal government do something?
Is the border safe? Now I was watching a news channel and they were talking about an invasion was happening, and I got a little concerned.
The border is secure. The border, we are working to make the border more secure. That has been a historic challenge.
You have the open border, you have the increased crime and drugs, you have these mayoral races that have flipped to Republican candidates or candidates that want to close that border. The Democrats are losing the argument on an open border, and when they combine that with the argument that anybody should be able to vote, including people who are here illegally in this country, these are 80, 90% issues for our side, for my side on these questions.
But this isn't about a Republican or Democrat. It's about a person decent enough, stable enough, strong enough to get our economy back on track. A person who could work with everyone, Democrats and Republicans, to get things done. Donald Trump isn't that person. Joe Biden is.
This morning, new inflation numbers confirming the struggle facing millions of Americans. Fuel, food, and shelter the biggest drivers behind inflation's highest increase in 4 decades.
So let me be as honest and clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle that are pushing back on the White House's Putin price hike excuse as we watch 40-year high inflation grip America.
This problem has been around since the onset of this administration, when they canceled Keystone, when they blocked oil and gas drilling. They drove up gas prices. They pumped $2 trillion into this economy to juice consumer spending at a time when we had supply chain constraints. So you can't just blame this away on other people. This blame belongs squarely with the Democrats and squarely with Joe Biden.
Our country is a great country. It can withstand 1 term of the current occupant of the White House. It cannot withstand 2. No, I don't think the damage is permanent. That's why we have to win this election.
The Biden administration acknowledging it may get even worse before it gets better.
Vote like your life depends on it, because right now, it really does.
We are using our savings.
Are you nervous about the future?
Yes, of course.
FBI director, Homeland Security advisors, they all say that we don't have vote fraud in our country. What we have is voter suppression in our country.
Yeah, how about a nice glass of shut the hell up?
And so I think that we have to vote like our life depends upon it. We have to show up at the polls.
Inflation Nation. Americans are paying significantly more for basics such as food, fuel, and rent.
And there's nothing inevitable about a recession.
When you have the most powerful man in the world who cannot think, that's a crisis. And it's certainly a crisis for the United States, and we are certainly paying for the election of Joe Biden right now. All of us. Everybody working in this country is paying a price because Joe Biden is president. Everybody.
Now is the time to show up and vote like this country depends on it, because it does.
I'm Meg Whitman. I'm a longtime Republican and a longtime CEO. And let me tell you, Donald Trump has no clue how to run a business, let alone an economy.
The president has a very strong economy to run on. The economists, most of the profession are progressives, liberals, and so forth, and their, estimates and criticisms are terribly biased. I could give you very specific examples. In reality, we beat all those expectations. The economy is simply doing better than the forecasters said, and the stock market shows it. The stock market is up because corporate profits, growth, jobs creation, and the plight of the people at the bottom is improving so much. Finally, people at the bottom are getting higher wages. We can thank the Trump economy for that.
Donald Trump has no clue how to run a business, let alone an economy. Joe Biden, on the other hand, has a plan that will strengthen our economy for working people and small business owners.
Inflation is wreaking havoc on pocketbooks nationwide. Prices are sky high for gas, rents, groceries, and just about everything else, and there's no end in sight.
For me, the choice is simple. I'm with Joe.
In June, the Consumer Price Index, a popular measure of inflation, rose 9.1% year over year. Now, that's the highest level since 1981. So there's no guarantee that prices will come down anytime soon.
America is at a crossroads. Sometimes elections represent a real choice, a choice we make as individuals and as a nation, because we're being taken down the wrong road by a president who is pitted one against the other.
US President Joe Biden has called the MAGA movement the most extreme group in American history.
By a president who is pitted one against the other. He's unlike all of our best leaders before him, who worked to unite us, to bridge our differences.
This MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
And no one pushes Joe around. Joe Biden is a man for our times. Times that call for all of us to take off our partisan hats and put our nation first for ourselves and, of course, for our children.
New inflation report is out, and it's much worse than predicted. The rate rose to another 40-year high. Inflation jumped to 9.1% in June compared to last year.
But enough of you know me by now. You know that I tell you exactly what I'm feeling. You know I hate politics. But you also know that I care about this nation.
Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country. And not just because Barack has done well.
I just want to make the statement that I have and always will be proud of my country.
But you also know that I care about this nation.
And let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country because it feels like hope is finally making a comeback.
I'm proud of my country. I don't know about you if you heard those words earlier. I'm very proud of my country.
Was Cindy McCain, widow of Senator John McCain. Last night she became the latest prominent Republican to endorse Joe Biden for president.
So I want, as I said, I want a president that will show me the kind of demeanor that will reach across the aisle and work with the Republicans and move this country forward instead of stagnating.
The last time inflation was this high was 1981. Back then, high prices combined with a weak economy brought financial misery for many Americans.
New regulations and everything, he will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right.